Imagine an evening in 146 BC, as the walls of Carthage in North Africa crumble amidst a sea of raging flames. The Titan city that once commanded the oceans has been reduced to a macabre killing field. Standing beside the Roman commander, Scipio Aemilianus, is a lean Greek scholar with a countenance of stolid serenity. While Scipio weeps, softly reciting the verses of Homer, the scholar merely gazes at the crimson inferno with eyes devoid of victorious ecstasy, reflecting only a profound, all-seeing solitude. He realizes that no matter how invincible Rome appears today, under the inexorable wheels of time, it too shall one day turn to ash, just as Carthage does beneath his feet. This scholar was Polybius. Tonight, by the rhythmic flicker of the hearth, let us step into the true odyssey of his life. He was a preeminent Greek statesman turned wanderer of fate, a man who, at the precipice of his youth, was taken as a prisoner and sent to Rome as a hostage. He witnessed how Rome, in a mere 53 years, subjugated the entirety of the known world, and left behind the most lucid prophecy on the cycles of human governance. This is a story of observation, of maintaining a divine-like composure at the edge of ruins, and of how to look down upon the mortal coil to settle one's soul amidst the weight of destiny. The trajectory of Polybius's life was violently severed in 167 BC. Before that moment, he was a distinguished general of the Achaean League, the favored scion of a prominent family on the Peloponnesian Peninsula. Yet, in a sudden political tempest, he was herded onto a cargo ship bound for Rome as one of 1,000 Greek political hostages. As the vessel drifted out of the Gulf of Corinth, Polybius watched the receding silhouettes of his ancestral mountains, and the resentment within him was gradually eclipsed by a near-frigid rationality. While most of his compatriots wallowed in self-pity and cursed their fate, he began to use his stylus upon the rocking deck, meticulously recording the direction of the tides and the iron discipline of the Roman sailors. He realized that this abrupt fall from grace was, in truth, the finest observational window granted by the heavens. Trading the pride of a warrior for the keenness of a scholar, he entered Rome prepared to anatomize the very leviathan that was about to swallow the Mediterranean whole. You must understand that Polybius's calm was a defensive composure. He had to transform himself into a dispassionate recording instrument to survive upon foreign soil. This sobriety, born from the abyss of his downfall, allowed him to quietly lay out the foundations of his monumental The Histories amidst his steady, silent footsteps. Within the Roman social circles fraught with ambition and political guile, Polybius displayed a breathtaking aesthetic of survival. He did not bow or scrape like a common captive. Instead, through his immense erudition and unyielding integrity, he earned the profound respect of the Scipios, the most powerful family in Rome. He became the mentor and confidant of the young Scipio Aemilianus. Together, in courtyards deep in the night, they discussed Plato and the decline of Sparta. Mark this, while the Romans of that era were intoxicated by the nouveau riche thrill of imperial expansion, Polybius was instilling in them the logic of cycles. He warned these conquerors, current supremacy does not guarantee eternity. If you fail to maintain the equilibrium of your state, chaos will inevitably consume you. At his desk in the dead of night, moving the counters of his ancient Greek abacus, his fulfillment came not from the charity of power, but from a mastery of universal laws. He began to perceive that history was not a collection of chaotic fragments, but a grand drama driven by human nature, destined to recur in perpetuity. This extreme reverence for law and pattern formed a profound, almost divine shadow across his life. He became the most sober outsider within the Roman Empire, transmuting all humiliation into an academic composure that looked down upon the world. That if Rome was Polybius's laboratory, then field investigation was his only path to truth. He crossed the Alps on horseback, driven solely to verify with his own eyes the route Hannibal had taken. He sailed across the Strait of Gibraltar, measuring the curvature of unknown continents amidst the damp sea breeze. This almost pathological obsession with empirical fact made him the greatest geographer of his age. Sitting beside desolate ruins, listening to guides recount the extinction of ancient tribes, his eyes reflected an unprecedented peace. Some might say he was escaping reality, but had you gazed upon his back in those moments, you would have found no weakness, only an ultimate honesty toward the truths of the cosmos. He wrote of the essence of geography: it is not merely the stacking of soil, but the projection of human action upon space. Walking along towering cliffs, his silhouette cast by the setting sun upon the shimmering Mediterranean, he appeared as an observer transcending time and space, bestowing order once more upon a chaotic world. In this state of extreme focus and solitude, Polybius finally attained the pristine liberation of a grand master. In his waning years, Polybius was finally granted permission to return to his homeland, Greece, after 30 years of exile. Yet, when he stepped once more upon that long-dreamed-of soil, he found it unrecognizable. Greece had been reduced to a mere Roman province. Its former splendor had dissolved into rubble and shard. Watching his kinsmen, those who had once scorned him, now living abjectly amidst the ruins, his eyes held no resentment, only a lucid understanding of civilizational metabolism. He knew Greece was marching toward its prophesied twilight, but as an observer, he was fortunate enough to preserve the final traces of its soul within his writings. This detachment, seeing through the vanity of glory while content to guard its fading shadows, was the bedrock of his composure. In his final journals, he penned his ultimate realizations on governance in prose that was both restrained and philosophical. He described the essence of power: it is like a silent whirlpool in the heart of the ocean. No matter how you struggle, everything eventually returns to that primal stillness. Every twilight on the Peloponnese, he would sit beneath the olive trees, gazing at the distant Aegean and feeling the touch of the wind through his fingertips. There he was no longer an exiled hostage nor a prominent advisor, he was simply Polybius, a speck of dust finding its home within the rhythm of time. One late night in 118 BC, at the age of 82, Polybius closed his eyes forever while convalescing from a fall from his horse. When the news reached Rome, the Senate held a moment of reverent silence, and the entire city succumbed to a spontaneous, Polybius-like stillness. He departed with profound peace, as if simply finalizing the proofreading of his last volume of history. He had provided the answer to the question posed in the prologue: was the weight of destiny heavy? In truth, the heaviest prize was not the fate one was assigned, but the ultimate loyalty to reason that remained uncorrupted even under the crushing wheels of the world. And you, now, do you feel it? That sense of peace, as solid and stable as a marble statue, reaching across 22 centuries. Rome's borders have long since shifted, and the Greek city-states have returned to the earth. Only Polybius's solitary observation remains in the deep midnight of history, like a cool-hued lamp that refuses to be extinguished. This is a power that does not need to roar, the finality of a pioneer's soul. Tonight, may you drift into sleep accompanied by the scent of ink from Polybius's The Histories and the steadiness born of his absolute composure. The world has fallen silent. It is time for you to let go of the day's distractions. Good night.